welcome NoDQ Galaxy, and we are back with a brand new NoDQ review, number 48, and I am Virtue, being joined by the elite panel of Aaron Rift, TJS, and Big G, wearing the classic Fire Virtue shirt. Who cares what it says? It looks awesome, and it's got the NoDQ logo on it. Big G, what's up?
I'm doing good. Got a busy week ahead of me, so I am looking forward towards this week's NoDQ review. TJS,
Sweet.
how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. My birthday is Friday, 21st. I'm not going to consume any alcohol, though. I will be at a WWE house show in Jonesboro, Arkansas, which was supposed to be the intergender match between Nia Jax and Dean Ambrose. Apparently that's not on anymore. I wish it was, though, because if it was, I would record it, post it on YouTube, and get tons of views. But it doesn't look like that's happening. Other than that, doing okay. Aaron, how are you, man?
A little tired. I just got back from Los Angeles, back in Portland. Literally just made it back in time for us to record the NoDQ review at our usual time. My voice is better, fortunately. If you guys saw NoDQ Live last night, that was a bit of a difficult endeavor for me, but I'm feeling better, and of course I have you guys to help carry the load, so I'm ready. Let's go ahead and get this started.
All right, well, this past weekend was the Chamber. WWE presents Elimination Chamber. So we had a couple Chamber matches. The first ever female tag team champs are Sasha and Bayley, which, did we all get that one right on here? No, somebody said Nia and Tamina. Okay. So, they didn't close the show. They actually kicked the show off. They were in the hot opener. But for the first time since when? The WWE Championship closed the show. Can you remember the last time it closed a show? A pay-per-view? Anybody? I can't.
It's been a couple years.
So some interesting things.
Ever since.
Well, yeah.
You know what? It might have been the pay-per-view before SummerSlam 2016 when they created the Universal title. So almost 3 years.
Crazy. Yeah. Now, looking at that match, so we know that Kofi Kingston, and we're going to talk about him later, took the place of Mustafa Ali. And I believe they didn't have this plan for Kofi. He was just the alternate, and they were going to do the same underdog story that we're going to do with Ali. We don't know that for sure, hearsay. But interestingly enough, I was kind of hoping we would get Luke Harper or somebody to join Daniel Bryan, and they just didn't do that. We don't get surprises anymore, let's be honest. What did we have this whole Chamber show? Becky showed up, but we all expected it. And she was on crutches, which I did like that segment, by the way. So what is everybody's final thoughts on the Chamber? I gave it a B-, probably lower than you guys. Again, it's not a bad grade. It's not like I'm purposely, because the way they booked some things, I'm going out there saying a D or an F. But to me, Charlotte and Becky did not work, obviously, because of the storyline. They're the hottest thing right now in wrestling with Ronda Rousey, so the fact that they didn't have a match. And, of course, I've kind of been jaded without Roman. I love that hate that he got, and that would be my go-to. And ever since he's been gone, I'm not invested in Brock Lesnar, So it is what it is. So, Big G, final thoughts.
Well, I enjoyed it. It entertained me. I enjoyed both Chamber matches. Like, we all figured Sasha and Bayley were going to win, except for poor TJS down there. The WWE Chamber match was good as well. I didn't think Kofi would go the distance. Kind of, threw me off a little bit. And I think I would give it a B, a solid B for the pay-per-view. So a B
what
for
was memorable. Anything memorable to you that you'll remember next year around Chamber?
Just besides the Becky thing, that's about it. And maybe Sasha and Bayley, because they're technically the first women tag team champion. So that's something memorable. But TJS, what'd you think?
Well, I'm surprised that when Nia ran through the glass of the damn Chamber didn't slip on. But I thought it was a pretty good show. But as far as memorable moments go, I really can't think of any, because in the WWE title Chamber match, I felt like that didn't even really feel like a Chamber match. They hardly use the cage other than some climbing on it. And in the pot, I guess they used it a bit, but I was just expecting more big spots, I guess. But I guess with this new structure, we don't really get that. It's more safe, and it's more like the six-pack challenge cage match. There's no grate on the outside anymore. And I felt like this match was really oriented towards a singles match between Daniel Bryan and Kofi, because the eliminations were very quick. Joe got eliminated almost immediately, I think before Orton even got in there. And I kind of had higher expectations for this, and I expected it to be better than what it was. I feel like the Fastlane match, which we'll get to, I'm just not sure what they can do that we haven't seen already. And it's like Virtue said, though. I think Kofi Kingston is just substituting for Mustafa Ali. I thought that from the beginning when he had the gauntlet match. But the thing is, people are saying, "Oh, Kofi's so great." We know he's been great.
Oh, we will talk about that. Absolutely. I'm going to put you on pause for a minute. Aaron, I thought that Becky was memorable because for the first time, I've been so, no, she's not Stone Cold, right?
Right.
And I've compared her more to CM Punk. When I saw her walking out in the crutches, hobbling, and then all of a sudden she just got in and just started wailing Charlotte with the crutch, finally, for the first time, I was like, all right, they're unleashing her. And I don't know why they had to wait so long, in my opinion. So that was memorable. Becky Lynch, not even in a match, was the most memorable thing, in my opinion, not Kofi, of this chamber match. So, Aaron?
Well, I definitely thought that was a memorable segment, although I did have the issue with Ronda just being a complete moron where she turned her back to Becky. Why would she do that? So besides that, I thought it was a good segment. I thought the chamber matches were good, but like TGS said, maybe they could have been a little bit more extreme like the older matches. It definitely felt a bit watered down. I did feel that Kofi going that far was memorable. I think what would have put it over the top was if WWE called an audible and he actually won the title. That would have made it more memorable. That would have put it over the top. The women's tag team title match, of course, that's memorable for being the first match of its kind. Women's Elimination Chamber match to crown the new champions. So I thought there were some memorable moments. Not a blow-away great show, but solid. And I think my letter grade was a B, and after a couple of days of thinking about it, I stick with a B. Solid show, but I would not go out of my way to watch it again.
Now, I did like Ronda Rousey dressed up as Sonya Blade. That looked pretty badass. She didn't have all that makeup on with her eyes and stuff like that. She looked like a straight-up badass, which I liked.
A lot of this show was filler, if you think about it. Like the Lacey stuff, the IC title thing. I'm giving it a C+. I didn't think it was that
great. He changed it just to be lower than Virtue. Nice. Well, there you go. It's filler, and it's WrestleMania filler, just like Fastlane is going to be. And that's what we will talk about next month. Let's move on. And so we've had some drama in the wrestling world all over the news lately. And a lot of people say, don't talk about this. Other sites and this and that. Look, wrestlers are in the spotlight. We've talked about this with Paige and Enzo. The list goes on. When it's out there in the news or on social media from the actual people involved or directed in that inner circle like Corey Graves' wife, we have the right to discuss our opinion on the matter. So we had a couple incidents. I can't even talk. Corey Graves and Carmella, right? Are they having an affair? Obviously, Corey Graves' wife posted something on Instagram, basically stating that they're separated and going through a divorce. Who cares how long it's been? They're still technically married, so anything Corey Graves does with another woman, could be considered infidelity. Granted, that's a touchy subject. A lot of people have different opinions on it. Nonetheless, Graves and Mella are in the spotlight. Graves still did his work on the commentary booth. Carmella was teamed with Naomi, who was also in an incident with her husband, Jimmy, getting pulled over by cops, and I believe Jimmy was arrested. Was Jimmy the one arrested, Aaron?
Yeah.
By the cops?
Because
yeah, right,
Jimmy
for being
Naomi.
Being belligerent. Nonetheless, Carmella and Naomi were the first ones out of their respective matches. But interestingly enough, the Usos went over and are tag team champs. So I'm starting to think a little bit here. If you're big enough of a star, and of course, are the Usos leaving WWE? Everybody is these days. Vince McMahon might play that, well, the spotlight's on. I know Jimmy did something bad, but we're going to put the titles on the Usos. I think WWE is being very reactionary lately to anything not with negative media, but involving AEW rumors. So, Aaron, I want to start with you on these two situations and my point that I think Vince pulled the trigger on the Usos, and it might not have necessarily been planned.
I feel like the Usos winning the tag team titles is just a way to make them happy and convince them to stay with the company. There's been the report that their contracts are up the end of April or whenever, pretty soon, right? So for them to win the titles, I feel like that's a sign that WWE wants to keep them around and will do whatever it takes. I mean, those guys, if they went to AEW, there's a lot of great tag teams they can compete with, like the Young Bucks, and I feel like they would be a real asset to AEW. And AEW has made a big deal out of trying to have a strong tag team division. The Young Bucks put an emphasis on the tag team division. So yeah, I think WWE is definitely reacting to All Elite Wrestling, and they're doing whatever they can to make the disgruntled talents or the talents with contracts coming up soon as happy as possible. It'll be interesting to see what happens if the Usos stick around, if that push will be sustained, or if once they're locked into a new deal, will WWE just give up on them again and then push the next team that is set to have their contracts expire. So time will tell, but the Usos are great. I think WWE should try to keep them despite the stuff going on with their personal lives. They're still excellent performers, two of the best guys in the company. So yeah, I mean, I would do whatever it takes. And
well, Aaron, this happened despite the negative news of Jimmy and Naomi. They still went over, so that just shows you is Vince maybe in panic mode a little bit,
or maybe the incident with Jimmy Uso when Naomi was blown out of proportion, and maybe he just got heated to the police officer, and things were just
he went to jail either way.
Right, he did. So who knows what happened with that? We don't really know all the details about it, and maybe it just wasn't as big of a deal as you might think on the surface. Maybe there was more to it that we don't know about. But yeah, I think it is important right now, and for whatever reason, WWE decided to put the titles on them, and we'll see if they stick around when their contracts are up. I mean, Rikishi posted something on social media, and he was using the hashtag something like soon-to-be free agent, so he's playing the game. He's been around for a long time. He knows how to work the sides against each other and get his sons the best deal possible. He's just being a worker here and doing what it takes so his sons get the most money. So we'll see what happens. TGS, do you think WWE should invest the money in keeping the Usos, or should they let them go? And are they interchangeable? Are they replaceable?
Absolutely not. I think that the Usos are really, really, they are a staple of the tag division in WWE as far as I'm concerned. They've been around for so long. They're just so good at what they do. There's not that many credible teams on the roster now, so you really cannot afford to just drop teams, especially because they haven't established any new ones, really. They just brought up heavy machinery, but we see where that's going. But yeah, Usos, it's weird that they won the titles because I figured Shane and Miz were going to hold them until WrestleMania. Of course, we do have the rematch coming up, but we'll get to that another time. I'm not sure if this was planned. I want to say no. I don't think that they were. Well, I guess to sweeten the deal, like you said, Aaron, make them stay. They're like, oh, we'll give you another tag title reign. And there was a WWE video on YouTube after Elimination Chamber of Jimmy Uso talking about. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was on the YouTube channel. Jimmy was talking about how if you do one thing wrong, the spotlight's on you and people judge you and all this. I mean, it's obvious what he was talking about, I'm sure. Yeah, so not really sure what's going on. I would like to think that the Usos are staying with WWE. I mean, they've been there for so long, like I said. But if they go to AEW, I mean, they'll get paid well too, and we'd still see some killer matches. I'm just saying, ever since they... Oh,
Yeah, I just wanted to add, maybe the idea under normal circumstances would be, hey, you're winning the tag team titles. That means you're going to get more TV time. That's not necessarily the case. I mean, who's the U.S. champion right now?
R-Truth. We haven't seen it in weeks.
Right. So it doesn't guarantee anything, really. But maybe if the Usos are marks for the belts, then that's enough to convince them to stick around.
That's the thing. And that's another thing, is that the championship, they're just props nowadays. But what I was going to say is it looks like the Usos are acting very heel now, throwing shirts at Shane, doing the double super kick, whatever. And as far as I'm concerned, I prefer it this way. I like the heel Usos a lot better. I don't care if the crowd likes it. And did you notice they have new T-shirts now, too, which is interesting. So we'll see what happens. Big G.
Wait, no one's talking about Graves. Wait, because Aaron completely no thoughts on Graves and Carmella and the drama that's unfolded with his personal life. I mean, we have the right to talk about it. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, yeah.
It's out there. It's out there because his wife posted it. You know what I mean? If she wanted it private, they could have kept it private and nobody would have said anything.
Right, yeah. I think the Usos is just such a loaded topic. I think we should go around and then go back and talk about Graves. So, Big G, anything you wanted to add with your thoughts on Usos?
I agree with all of you. Next. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
You agree with all of us. Next.
Pretty much, you guys all had solid points. I think, with social media nowadays, everything is going to get blown out of proportion. But if nothing really major happened, then I don't see why Jimmy and Jay didn't win they won the tag team champions. What are they, 6-time champions now? Yeah. So they passed the New Day. It doesn't look like the New Day is going to get any tag team title shots here any soon. I love the Usos. I was going to mention what Aaron mentioned about Rikishi on Instagram. That was pretty cool. Work, like you said, he's a worker. Other than that, I mean, there's nothing else to talk about the Usos. I mean, if they do leave, I mean, why do people always going to say, they're going to go to AEW? There's Ring of Honor.
Because that's what fans today like to talk about, rumors. It's all about rumors, Big G.
Yeah, no.
Why would they want to go anywhere but AEW? That's where the con.
Because TJS, AEW right now, like Virtue said, like I've said on Virtue's Rates, it's a freaking T-shirt company right now.
TJS said that too.
Well, tell me a T-shirt company that sold 13,000
and all they have
tickets.
right now, they booked their they sold out Double or Nothing. Big whoop. Nothing has happened yet. People still got to order the pay-per-view. Are they going to order the pay-per-view? Are they going to pay $60 to watch a indie pay-per-view?
More importantly, Big G, when they start doing things week to week and month to month, are the marks going to have the money to keep up with them? Right?
There you go.
That I'm just saying. Right now, they can look successful because these are blocked with months in between.
That's true.
Let's see what happens when it gets more like WWE. Granted, I'm assuming they might not be like that busy, but they're going to obviously, if they want to be a huge wrestling company, they got to get busier. Carry on, Big G, because you still got to talk about Carmella.
All right, so Carmella and Corey Graves.
My favorite, Corey.
So first of all, I didn't hear about it until you guys had posted it on the chat, and I went back to Instagram and I looked on. I guess his wife had posted it, and they had like a family portrait of all of them. People, just keep your business to yourself. Yes, there's social media. You want to vent, but don't vent it out on social media. Do it within your family. Go to a counselor. Go to wherever you need to go. Apparently, they've been separated for 6 months now or something like that. So, if you want, there's nowhere that says that. I'm so frustrated. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you want to date somebody within the company, feel free to. It's not going to hurt anybody. Yeah, it might mess up your family, but over time, things will heal. You might become best friends with your ex-wife and stuff like that. You're still there with your kids. So that's all I have to say about that. TJS, what do you think?
It's just very, very typical of the internet to immediately jump down Corey's throat before they know anything. They just look at one Instagram post. They're like, what a scumbag. He cheated. He cheated on his wife before the facts are made clear.
He is a scumbag.
Yeah, like it happens. That's what the internet does, and I don't care that Corey and Carmella are dating. You guys talked about Corey and his wife still being married, how they're legally married until they get divorced. It's another matter. I will say that Corey Graves was notably quiet during Carmella's entrance at Elimination Chamber, and he did mention his daughters being at home on the commentary booth when Sasha and Bayley won the titles. He said, "I know my daughters are at home dreaming about this." So it's very interesting. I don't think that Corey should get any type of flack for this. It's his personal life, and he didn't even start this. It was his soon-to-be ex-wife, I'm sure. We don't know all the details, and that's the thing. Until we get Corey's side of the story, that's when we can make our judgment. And then we still won't know everything. We saw the text messages that she posted about WWE apparently going to sue her. I don't really know if that's for all we know, these could be fake screenshots, and none of us are there, so we can't really give definite answers, but we can state our opinions, and that's about it. So,
and that's what the internet does best.
Was there anything about Bray Wyatt and his wife when he started dating JoJo?
Well, initially there was when Bray's wife put it out on social media, and then it got quiet pretty quickly. But now, ironically, Bray and JoJo are on WWE TV.
I don't want to go off topic here, but we're talking about like news and stuff like that on the internet. I was going to ask you guys about Ty Dillinger. So he apparently asked to go back to NXT. They said, fuck no. And now he asked for his release. Are they going to give it to him, or do you think they're going to pull a Neville and make him wait it out?
My opinion is, who cares? It's Ty Dillinger. Anybody else want to chime in on it?
I pretty much feel the same way. Like, no disrespect to the guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but it's really the 10 gimmick. It's more about the gimmick than his actual skills. Like, I think if you take away the 10 gimmick, and it was going to have a shelf life anyways, you take away the 10 gimmick, he really is just an average wrestler in a company with great wrestlers. So there's nothing about him that really stands out, and I think the 10 gimmick just ran its course, and it was a one-trick pony type of scenario. So if I was WWE, I would just let him go, let him go to AEW. Let him prove WWE wrong. Let him prove to everybody that he's better than given credit for, and see what happens,
And I bet a lot of people said the same thing about Cody when he got released from WWE. Oh, he's just the Stardust gimmick. Oh, he'll never be anything, which I believed that too, guys, and I still don't think Cody's anything.
Well, I said Cody was going to be a whole bunch of good stuff on the indies, and that's on the old NoDQ.com page, by the way.
I always thought Cody had some talent and had some potential, and I think there were people that were high on the guy, especially during that period when he was doing the mustache and the broken Cody Rhodes with the face mask and everything. He was showing some potential, I'll give him credit.
But I guess that's a lot more character than what Dillinger has. Dillinger just comes out with the 10, like you guys said, and I don't know. I feel like Dillinger was good in NXT.
Because he relied on that crowd.
Yeah.
You take that crowd away from his gimmick, it was done.
The only Ty Dillinger match that I remember vividly is a cage match that he had with Eric Young in NXT. Other than that, I can't remember any matches of his. So that just goes.
Yeah, he had a couple good ones. He had. Now, by the way, this is just a filler segment that we're throwing in here.
A little bit too much filler, but go ahead, finish.
He had that match with Bobby Roode at Toronto NXT, but that's about it. But that's the only match I remember. Anyway.
Is if he gets released, no one's going to really know that he's gone. Let's just be real.
I mean, what's he going to be if he goes to AEW? 11 gimmick, 9.5 gimmick, 10.5? Who knows? Aaron, any thoughts on Carmella and Graves before I move on? I mean, did we all cover it?
I mean, you guys pretty much covered the gist of it. It's drama, and drama equals hits. So
Internet.
I'm not complaining about it, but I feel like people do tend to rush to judgment with these types of scenarios, and it's just the nature of the beast. That's how the internet goes, especially if you're a public figure. anything you do, you're going to be under the microscope and judged. And, I'm sure Corey Graves is used to it by now. And his best course of action is to just lay low. We saw what happened with Bray Wyatt and JoJo. That heat died down eventually. People want to see Bray Wyatt back on TV, despite what was put out there. So I think Corey Graves should just, keep doing his job and just lay low for a while on social media. And I think people will eventually let it go and move on to the next thing to be outraged over.
Yep. Noted. All right, let's move on. Are you ready? So this year we finally got the first, the headliners for the Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame class of 2019. And it's D-Generation X as a group. So Shawn Michaels, Triple H, the New Age Outlaws, X-Pac, and China. Is that right? All of them?
Yep.
Did I get that right? That's a lot of members there. Well, China's finally getting in, but they have to mask it with D-Generation X. So I want to go around and get everyone's thoughts on that in particular. And who do you think would be a good person? I kind of stirred up some debate on Twitter that could induct them. So let's start with you, TJS.
Well, I don't understand why people bitch about China being inducted with DX, because if she wasn't inducted with DX, if they left her out, people would still complain. People complained, we want China in the Hall of Fame. I agree. I want her in the Hall of Fame too. We're getting it. It's not good enough. People always want more. WWE is saying, yeah, we're going to put China in. And they keep pushing for more. And did you guys hear about Triple H's ESPN interview where he said China could end up going in on her own? So this might not be the only time she goes in. It's very interesting because Billy Gunn is an AEW producer now. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's very, very. It's gonna be weird.
Well, they let Christian go get inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame, right, when he was working for WWE or something like that. So
I'm just wondering if we're going to get like AEW chants. I doubt it. I think this crowd will be respectful. But didn't they boo Roman one year, like when they showed him in the crowd though?
Yep.
I'll say that I do like the new logo for the Hall of Fame ceremony. It's like the black logo. And as far as who should induct DX, how about Vince McMahon? That would be all right.
Oh, and they start altering his voice again and all that stuff. There you go.
I like cock, I think it'd be.
Everybody, you heard that. Take a audio screen cap of that.
Damn it.
EC3. All right. Keep going. Carry on. Show your professionalism.
I think Virtue said Mike Tyson would be another good person to induct them.
His Hall of Fame speech in 2012 was short, right? He's not a great speaker. His lisp, it was about a 2.5-minute speech, and he had the crowd engaged. I think it would be a good, short little. They want to get DX out on that stage as soon as possible so they can all cut their promos. Tyson, to me, would be perfect. All right, carry on.
Good idea. Yeah. I can't think. I'm not really. I didn't grow up on DX like you guys did, like Aaron, Virtue, and Big G did. I was born in '98, so I didn't get the best of it. I'm sure you guys have a better inductor in mind. Aaron?
Well, I like Vince. I think Vince is a great choice. I could see somebody like Mick Foley possibly doing it because of his association against DX and with DX. I think back to when Mankind won the WWF title from The Rock. DX helped him there. They had that big moment together. So I think Mankind would be a great choice. Mick Foley, I think, would give a great speech. Mike Tyson would be interesting, but I'm not sure he would give the best speech. One of those two. I think Mick Foley or Vince McMahon.
It would be memorable, Aaron. It would be memorable.
I would just like to see him. Just let him make an impromptu cameo or something. Big G, any thoughts that you have about a inductor?
Mike Tyson's a good choice. Like me and Virtue said, he's had history with DX back in '98, back in 2009. Vince McMahon's also a good choice. All their stuff from the early '90s to the '98s, the 2006s when they came back, reformed the whole rooster situation and the poop flying down and everything like that. How
about The Rock?
They're probably gonna go with Hall and Nash because they're all buddies. And we did see that, I think, when I think Kevin Nash got inducted that one year, I think, or Razor Ramon. I think they all came out and did the whole click thing. All good choices.
How about Bret Hart?
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen. But what about The Rock?
It'll probably.
Hey, what about
Bret Hart is the most.
No, I'm kidding. What about
Bret Hart wouldn't do it. But
mascot. No, I'm kidding. What?
Bret Hart wouldn't do it probably, but to me that's the best pick because that's the most controversial.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Stephanie. I could see her end up doing it somehow.
Ah, Lord Jesus.
Because that way she could say she abducted her husband. I could see something like that.
Yeah. And as far as Billy Gunn being there, I'm sure he'll be there. I'm sure AEW will give him the night off and say, hey, go be with your buddies, go get inducted into the Hall of Fame and have a good time. They're not going to say, oh, no, you can't do that. That's the rival. We're not going to let you go there. No, they're not going to do that.
All right, so moving on. Last week, obviously, we did the Chamber preview and predictions, so we really didn't have a traditional NoDQ review. I want to go back and talk about Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda and what happened on Raw a couple weeks ago. At the end of Raw, Vince came out, and in typical Vince McMahon style, he resuspended Becky Lynch, said she won't compete at Mania, and anointed Charlotte as her replacement. 24 hours earlier, I wrote a column on NoDQ.com that said Charlotte would get added into this match, and that's exactly what happened because, in my opinion, she was on paper against Ronda from day one when they brought Ronda in the company. The reason why Becky got added, yes, Becky got added, in my opinion, not Charlotte, but the fans, because Becky's so hot right now, think it's the other way around. It's going to be a triple threat, people. I would be very surprised that if come Mania, it's Becky and Ronda one-on-one because somehow maybe Becky beats Charlotte at a match. I mean, I'm not saying that still couldn't happen, but at this point, Vince McMahon already announced Charlotte in the match. I don't think he's going to want to go back on what he said on TV. So what's everyone's thoughts on this angle? Of course, the way they did it at the end of Raw last week, I really think was to take heat off of Ronda. Ronda was one-on-one against Becky. People love Becky. Ronda was getting booed. She was getting flustered giving her promos. I think they don't want her in that situation, so Charlotte being added will take most of that heat to maybe make Ronda more comfortable. Everybody's thoughts. I'll start with you, Aaron.
Well, I just think it's being done to give Charlotte the rub. The triple threat match has been teased for several months now. TLC ended with Charlotte and Becky both being attacked by Ronda. And, of course, we go back to Survivor Series with Ronda and Charlotte. So there's history with all three of them intertwined together. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. I said this before. I think a one-on-one match is stronger, but I get the triple threat. And Charlotte does get the rub. And quite frankly, there's no indication that WWE is going to do Charlotte versus Asuka. Let's face it, Asuka lost to friggin' Mandy Rose this week. So, yeah, I think the SmackDown Women's title is basically, like TJS said earlier, it's essentially a prop at this point. Ronda's the main event, probably going to be the match that closes the show. So why not give both Becky and Charlotte the rub in the main event, 2 instead of 1? I think that's WWE's attitude at this point. TJS, your thoughts on it?
I want to give Becky the rub.
I trying to go back on what you said earlier. I see how it is.
Yeah, nice try.
Nice.
I like the idea of Becky versus Ronda one-on-one. I think that's more marketable. I've said it 1,000 times. But the more that I think about it, the more that I think that a triple threat would be a better match. Because you have Charlotte in there to do the moonsaults, and I just feel like that way, I guess the heat would be more spread out, like Virtue said. They would be booing Charlotte instead of Ronda. And I'll just say Vince needs to come up with a better reason to suspend people. Like a bad attitude. Didn't you just say a month ago you were telling AJ Styles to bring out the animal in himself? You slapped him and then he punched you and you didn't do anything. I get that he's a heel, but you need to at least have a little bit of logic here. It's like Virtue said. I think that that Ronda versus Charlotte has been the plan, because think about it. The long-term plan wasn't Becky. A year ago, they didn't want Becky versus Ronda, but then this whole the man thing caught on, and she won the Rumble, of course, and that's when Vince is like, okay, I guess we'll add Charlotte, or we'll add Becky. I guess we'll add Becky. And, man, it makes me think that even if we did get Becky versus Ronda at Survivor, like the Survivor Series match doesn't matter at this point, because I feel like we were going to get that same segment on the Vince just saying, Becky, you're out, Charlotte's in. Like, just shoehorn her in like that, because that's just like Vince McMahon fashion, like Virtue said. I hope the match closes WrestleMania, though, regardless if it's a triple threat or not. And like Virtue also said, I don't see Charlotte not being in this match. I think that she's in here to also protect Ronda.
Take
Charlotte,
the pin or the tap out or take the pin.
Yep, I think that Charlotte is the one that's going to lose here. And it's surprising to say that, considering that she, like last year, she beat Asuka's streak. And now Asuka's where she is. And damn, that's just about all I can say about it. Big G.
Well, Big G, I'll go to you. And I think Charlotte's fine being the third wheel, if that's what Becky fans want to say. Charlotte's fine, because if this headlines WrestleMania, she's going to be part of history. And if she's the jobber, or not the jobber, but the one that gets pinned or submits in the match, Charlotte's perfectly fine. She's a professional. All right, Big G.
Well, again, all good solid points. I'm fine with it, with how this storyline's going, with Becky getting suspended for the 60 days, and then how Vince threw Charlotte in there, or put her in there. I'm curious how they're going to put Becky back in there. If Triple H or Stephanie are going to side with Becky and say, hey, she did what she did. She went to the doctor. She got cleared. She apologized. She's still in this match. That way Triple H can look like the babyface going in there, since DX is going into the Hall of Fame.
Here's what they should do. Here's what they should do. At Fastlane, of course, this is in Cleveland, and if they want me to buy a ticket, they should make Becky have to face Charlotte. Now, Charlotte's still in. She doesn't have to win the match, but she's going to want to beat Becky to keep Becky out. Ronda Rousey, referee. What do you think about that?
Ooh.
At Fastlane?
That's
a fantasy book. Just a fantasy book. I would buy a ticket in a heartbeat if they did something similar to that.
That's a good idea. I'm sure the tickets aren't sold out yet, so
that would be good promo, you know.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I like that.
Are you guys getting tired of Becky showing up every week, though? It's kind of like the same thing. She comes from the crowd, and then it's like, oh, wow, how do we...
Well, I'm fine with it.
Actually, I'm not, TJ. I feel like we don't see her enough.
Because you don't know. I mean, yeah, she's going to show up when when Charlotte or Ronda are there, but, you know, will she show up? Won't she show up, you know? So, this week, she didn't show up at all. So, you know, they're trying to play it to where it's not every single week, but it could be every other week, every 2 weeks, you know, not just to say, okay, she's coming every week and then it burns out, it fizzles out. So I'm fine with it. I'm cool with it. I said my piece.
I would like to see something to where Becky just doesn't leave like she does when the security's like, okay, you gotta go, Becky. She's just like, oh, okay. I want to see her fight the security, not punch her. I want to see them have to handcuff her or tase her or whatever to just make her leave.
Wait,
carry her out.
Taser? That's man-on-woman violence with a taser.
Yeah, female police officers. I don't care what you gotta do. Just make Becky look less soft. I mean, just having her just okay, I've done enough, and then just leaves. I don't know. And by the way, Charlotte is in this match, in the WrestleMania match, because we're the authority, and that's what we want.
Well, I mean, as long as Becky beats Ronda to win the title, see, I think Ronda should be taking the fall, not Charlotte. As long as Becky beats Ronda at WrestleMania, I'm fine with the triple threat. I think doing it a different way is a cop-out. As long as Becky gets the title by beating Ronda, I like it. And you can always set up another Becky versus Charlotte match in that
And
regard.
fans that want that ending are going to get Ronda retaining because the 4 Horsewomen MMA save her ass. And then all of a sudden, Becky gets nothing. I'm just saying, that's why I think WWE does the things they do. They must have some people that just look at what fans demand and just completely go the opposite direction. But, I mean, that's been happening for quite some time.
It's like those surveys they send out, like, what did you think about this? Or what do you want to happen? And it's like, okay, let's do the opposite.
So maybe we should answer the surveys with, like, we want to see Jinder Mahal in the WWE title match.
That's a good point. You know.
Jinder who?
Interesting. And, you know, another good idea for me, in my opinion, I mean, you know, I'm against the Stone Cold comparison, but if WWE really wants to cater to what the fans are thinking, I know they've had some indifferences with Stone Cold for a little bit here, but bring Stone Cold's podcast back on the network heading into Mania season here and have him interview Becky. There you go. That would be huge. Another great idea by Virtue that would get the fans more invested. All right, let's move on. This is kind of a double topic here because Double or Nothing, All Elite Wrestling sold out in 4 minutes? Is that a rumor or is that official? Okay. In Las Vegas. Jericho, kayfabe Jericho, is taking credit for it. I love that. Jericho's awesome. But I want to parlay this into WWE is being so reactionary to anything All Elite Wrestling. And why do I say that? Because we hear all of these rumors like we talked about. You know, the Revival, we're leaving, or we want released. They win the tag titles. Uso rumors, they win the tag titles, despite Jimmy that same week getting arrested, you know. And all of a sudden, it just seems like WWE's reactionary to this niche fan base of indie wrestling that's flocking around All Elite Wrestling. And why do I say that? Because this past week on Monday Night Raw and on SmackDown, they brought up NXT talent. So not only the top stars, more or less. I mean, we didn't get Adam Cole. We didn't get Velveteen Dream like, you know, that fake picture on the internet suggested. But the DIY, Aleister Black, Ricochet, right? And they won every one of their matches. They were all booked over the main roster. A, you're burying your main roster. B, you're burying the NXT talents you already brought up that you're not using. So to me, something happened. Someone convinced Vince McMahon, probably Triple H, we need to react. We need to make these All Elite Wrestling fans flock back to think that we're changing the game. So, Aaron, I want to start with you. I think it's utter bullshit that all of the NXT wrestlers went over the last 2 days. If they would have maybe half went over and half were close but no cigar, maybe some interference to protect, you know, the fact that they all went over just buried the main roster talent on top of where's EC3? I mean, yeah, Lacey Evans is walking, you know, to the ring and back and whatever. Heavy Machinery, they're not. Eric Young, all these NXT talents that are already there not being utilized properly. What the hell, Aaron?
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you on this other than WWE just is feeling desperate and they're trying to shake things up any way they can. And if that means bringing in more NXT guys, then that's what they're going to do. But yeah, it definitely feels like hot shotting and it feels like it's maybe not necessary. I mean, I think there's other ways to get the numbers back up, and I think they're just looking for the quick fix. And the quick fix is just going to make things worse, not better, as far as I'm concerned. You already have an overcrowded roster, and like you said, it's a niche fan base, and I'm not even sure that the NXT guys are going to create this water cooler effect. Like, I don't think you're going to have casual fans saying, oh my God, you got to check out these new guys. We saw in Lafayette that they barely reacted to these guys. Now, granted, the reaction was better in New Orleans, so maybe Lafayette was just a bad town. But I could see a lot of casual fans just watching and being like, okay, yeah, a couple new guys, yeah, they're cool, whatever. But I don't know if it's gonna like lead to the numbers skyrocketing and all of a sudden WWE is gonna be drawing 3 million people again for Raw. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not.
Were Raw ratings out yet? Because I know with Monday being President's Day or whatever it was, they weren't out on Tuesday. Have you got Raw ratings this week yet?
I have not seen them, but I will look it up right now.
Okay. So we'll pass. Yeah, we'll pass it to Big G.
Well, like I said yesterday, and I think even Aaron said this. You know, I think they're showcasing the NXT stars to the bigger crowds, you know, because once SmackDown goes to Fox, I'm sure NXT will go to FS1. That's possible. I'm not too sure. I'm not 100%. Or I was thinking they brought up these NXT guys to Raw and SmackDown and said to the main roster guys, you know, who were thinking about leaving, hey, if you're thinking about leaving, we'll replace you with these guys. So, and I mean, Aleister Black beat Elias. Elias, okay, he hasn't done much. DIY beat the Revival. Like I said yesterday, they had matches back in NXT, so they had some kind of history. Same, and then Ricochet and Finn Balor beat Lio Rush and Finn Balor. Or not Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley. So a little bit of history with all the matches and stuff like that. But like Aaron said on NoDQ Live the past couple of days, why couldn't you have them beat jobbers, you know, like Apollo Crews, people that we don't care about, or Jinder Mahal, right. You know, people that we don't see, you know. You could have had DIY beat Rhino and Heath Slater, you know, tag teams we don't see. Primo and Epico. You could have had Eric Young was on TV, you know. You could have had Sanity versus DIY, you know, people like that. But
or you could have beat the NXT, or you could have beat the NXT teams and matches that went down to the wire that could have went either way, and then it's not quite there yet. Build. Yeah. You know what I mean? They just don't think that way. They think you got to win matches to get over.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's all I have to say about it.
Okay, so before TGS goes, first hour did over 3 million viewers, just over 3 million viewers. Second hour did 2.840 million, and then the third hour was down to 2.427 million. So this tells me that there was interest coming off of Elimination Chamber. People tuned in to see the fallout for it. However, the numbers going down indicate that people lost interest as the show went on, and Triple H did come out at the beginning and stated new NXT guys are showing up. So take that for what you will. We'll see how next week's rating is, because if there's positive buzz from like Ricochet, then next week's number theoretically should go up, right? Because people are saying, hey, you got to check out this guy Ricochet. He's unbelievable.
They're going to be in Atlanta next week, in Charlotte, North Carolina. So those are two big wrestling towns. So
right. It's also going to be hard to judge because I think Ric Flair might bring in some more viewers for next week out of nostalgia.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And Mania season draws a little bit more. So, you know, they're covered. Bringing NXT people up right now, their asses are covered. They got Mania season ratings. TJS, thoughts on this?
Well, I just hate how WWE...
we're talking NXT and you're yawning. That speaks volumes.
I'm tired of WWE ruining surprises. It's so annoying when they tweet like, oh, Ricochet spotted backstage at Raw. Can't we just get a surprise or something? I would love that if Elias, instead of just being like, oh, we're getting Aleister Black on the show, we just hear like Aleister Black, or the lights just go out, and then we hear Aleister Black's music. Anything like that would have been so much better than what we got. And
I like Aleister Black, though. Like, to me, out of all the ones, nothing against Ricochet, Gargano, Ciampa, yada, 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 right? We know they're great wrestlers. Black just looked like he belonged, in my opinion, if I had to pick one of all of them.
Yeah. And another thing, why are you booking your developmental brand over the main roster? That makes no sense to me. That makes it feel like the developmental brand, like they're just, the wrestlers are just better. And it's just weird.
I don't have a problem with that, TJS, but all of them, right? They went, 6-0 or whatever? That was what I had a problem with.
And I think it was getting predictable to me because I felt like, I already know the NXT guys are going to win. So I'm not even going to bother getting invested in this match. Big G, did you have something?
Yeah, let me add something. So I talked about this to Virtue yesterday. So they showcased the men yesterday of NXT. Where the hell were the women of NXT?
Great.
You could have had my girl Shayna Baszler go up there and beat somebody. You could have had Kairi Sane go up there and beat somebody, or get close to it. Something like that. Have two guys on Raw and 2 females on Raw, 2 on SmackDown, 2 on SmackDown as well. But no, they got to showcase the men. Where are the women? If it's all about the women's evolution, just saying.
I think a lot to do with that, Big G, in my opinion, is the fact that right now for the females, they're focused on Ronda, Charlotte, Becky. So they probably said, we're not bringing, any more women around right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My opinion. If I had to make up a reason why, I don't know.
And I know that Monday's crowd kind of sucked, but I don't think that it helped that instead of giving longer video packages to these NXT guys telling the story of them, we're getting Brock Lesnar video packages. Why? Why are we? Because are we gonna forget that Brock exists? Like, I feel like if you would have told the story about Aleister Black a little bit more, or just told them about Ciampa and Gargano or something like that, maybe they would have been more invested. But it's like the casuals don't know who the hell these people are, and why do you want to give a Brock Lesnar story? We know who this is. It's just annoying. And like I said, with the developmental guys going over, it's like they don't belong in developmental. They belong on the main roster. But now they're going to go back to NXT, and I bet that they're going to lose matches there in NXT. So it's going to be like, wait, they beat the main roster guys, but they can't beat some other people in developmental. It's just confusing.
Right.
You know what? This brings up the age-old question. At some point, stop calling NXT developmental. Just call it its own brand, like an indie brand.
And maybe that's the direction.
Yeah, so maybe we do have to give more time with this.
And
see where this leads to,
Yeah, one more thing. You guys heard that the women's tag titles are going to be defended to NXT also. Raw, SmackDown, NXT. So are you implying that the main roster's on the same level as NXT if they get to defend the titles down there?
Maybe that's the plan.
Interestingly enough, also on the old NoDQ site here, I got to see if I can pull those old columns up. I wrote NXT should be a third brand. This was like 2 years ago, intertwined with Raw and SmackDown. Yet I say I don't know. I mean, I'll see if I can dig that up and post it as a from the vault. Is everybody ready for the main event?
Let's do it.
Big G, you know what the main event's going to be, right?
Yes, I do.
I'll let you kick it off with bringing up your thoughts on Kofi's push. I want to go last. So go ahead.
So now we have this thing, #Kofi Mania. Kofi Kingston, he's been with the company for over a decade now. He's won every single championship but the WWE championship. So why now do they push him? Good idea. Good. I think I'm fine with it. It gives something Kofi to do besides the whole New Day shtick with the pancakes, even though he's still part of the New Day. If Kofi Kingston does somehow win the WWE title at Fastlane, he should split from the New Day and let Big E and Xavier go on. Or you could have you could have Big E turn on Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and Big E goes on his own, and you only have Kofi and Xavier as a tag team. I'm fine with it. I just want to see where it goes. TJS?
Well, I actually don't agree with what Aaron said about calling the audible. I don't know. I just think that I just like this Daniel Bryan character so much that I don't want to see his title reign end again.
Right.
And I get that Kofi is great. I think Kofi is one of the best of the company. And I still enjoy the New Day. I know a lot of people are sour on him. They're tired of the pancakes, which, yeah, the gimmick's old. But these guys are really talented. There's no denying that the New Day, as a unit, is very skilled. And that's why I liked the ending of Elimination Chamber so much. It was refreshing to not have a big swerve or something happen when Big E and Xavier came out there and they were like, oh, I love you, my brother, and you did this 11 years. I like stuff like that. And yeah,
you sound like Wade Keller, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Yeah. I get that people want Kofi to be the champion, but I don't know. I feel like if anyone should be the first fully black WWE champion. I think Kofi's a suitable guy for it. He can do promos. He's great in the ring. He's been around forever. But I just don't see that happening right now. I think that he's just a stand-in for Mustafa Ali. And I think that Fastlane, he's not going to win the title. It's going to be a filler show, a filler match to get Bryan ready for Mania. And yeah, I love Kofi. I love New Day, like I said. And I'm interested to see if this ends up with Kofi breaking off from the New Day. I hope not. I'd like them to just stay together because I feel like they're better off that way. Because they get lost in the shuffle as individuals.
Hey, what do you think about Lost in the Shuffle going mainstream now?
Yeah, Asuka, do you feel lost in the shuffle? That was that was funny. WWE is going to start saying it, I bet. Like, the commentators are going to be like, Asuka has felt lost in the shuffle as of late. And they're going to say things like, it is what it is. That's the next thing that they'll steal. But yeah, I love Kofi, but I don't see this going anywhere. I think he has a glass ceiling, to summarize it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Kofi winning the title at Elimination Chamber would have been a memorable moment. I think that would have put the show over the top for me. And you look back at some of the classic title victories, like Mankind winning the title. That was pretty much out of nowhere, and WWE just went off of the momentum. Mankind had the momentum, and it was a big moment, and we remember it to this day. Timing is everything. And I think sometimes you just have to go with the momentum when it's hot and change course a little bit if there's the momentum. I don't know if Kofi winning the title was a good business decision or not. I don't know if it really matters, but at the end of the day, I think it's important to create memorable moments that people hold on to and you get that raw emotion. If Kofi won the title, you would have had that raw emotion with fans and it would have been a really big deal. That would have been a water cooler moment, I think, especially with it being Black History Month. I think WWE would have gotten a ton of positive publicity for that, and that's what they're all about too. So I am a little surprised they didn't do it because, you know, that kind of publicity would be great for them, and it would have been a really good feel-good moment. Kofi's very loved in WWE. He's had a great career, and some would argue that he's been very much overlooked over the years, and he's been put in this group, which granted they're very entertaining, but at the same time, he's pretty much been regulated to being a comedy figure when he obviously has that potential to be a headliner and he could perform at a main event level. So Virtue, you want to go last? What are your thoughts?
So a week or two ago, before Mustafa Ali got the whatever injury he got from Randy Orton, how ironic that Randy Orton did that to Ali. Wonder if that was a potato or an accident. Aaron, I did like when you posted that, 10 years ago or whenever it was, and Kofi kept getting up because Orton wanted to punt him, and Orton got pissed and just gave him a stiff RKO and said, stupid, stupid, stupid. And then Kofi did that. I like Kofi's, he thinks that's a chip on the shoulder that Orton gave him, and he paid it back. That was a receipt by Kofi. I like that. But let's be honest. A week ago, Kofi was just a pancake maker with the New Day. And because of an injury, he got inserted into this match. And because he was given a lengthy run in a gauntlet match, and of course he had the run in the Elimination Chamber match against the champion, now all of a sudden he is the pancake syrup, maple syrup flavor of the week from the fans. And this is what I get sick. This is what I get sick about. Nothing against Kofi. He's a good, solid worker. Like Dutch Mantel would say, he's a good little hand. Good mid-carder, got to the upper mid-carder. Great. I like it. Aaron, I'll say the Black History Month thing, that could hold some merit. They could have hot-shotted the title, let him win it at Chamber, and then maybe had Bryan beat him back at Fastlane. Maybe Bryan would that's when Luke Harper would show up or something. Right. I won't say that was a bad idea. But the fact that less than 2 weeks ago Kofi was just a comedy act, I like the build. If the last 6 months they were showing some just like not dissension, but like the New Day trying to expand among what they did. And, they started that. Remember on the internet, there was the barbershop clip and Kofi played the role of Shawn Michaels. If they would have started doing stuff like that, just teasing like, Kofi move, like wanting to do more, maybe Big E wanting to do more. And then this all happened. And all of a sudden Kofi's opportunity came about. I would be okay with that. But to me, The same thing happened with Jinder Mahal, right? Boom, WWE champion out of nowhere. And people hated it because he's Jinder Mahal.
Difference is
he's Jinder
Mahal. That's the thing. Kofi Kingston is very well respected and loved by the
bullshit.
fans.
It's bullshit. The fact is they put the title on Jinder Mahal, right? Without building it, right? So I'm agreeing with that. Jinder shouldn't have had that title like he got it. He wasn't established.
And Kofi's not a prelim guy.
Kofi's not Kofi, whatever. He's not established. So you marks, right? You stupid smarks that think this is awesome. You obviously only care about what everybody's talking about on the internet, not what's really good in the business. You should have taken a step back and said, you know what? Okay, Kofi should have been built up properly. I'm not buying this. He's just a fill-in for Ali. Now all of a sudden, he's your new martyr. And I'm throwing that word around because I get sick of it.
What?
You know, and again, nothing against Kofi, but people say, well, Jinder didn't deserve that run, but Kofi deserves this push. No, they're the same thing. They're hot-shotting guys to the top because they're lost. That's the biggest problem. It's not Kofi Kingston. It's not the fans wanting his push. It's the fact WWE is lost with who they want. They don't have stars. They don't know who to make stars. That's the biggest problem, and I think that's what's creating this. Aaron, Kofi has the flavor of the month fan base, but Rusev Day had it too, squashed by WWE and Vince McMahon.
Right,
it's
and,
a short.
and they are going to be a flavor of the month if they don't capitalize on the momentum. If you don't do something when they got
momentum. The smarks, the indie, the niche fans, the NXT fans are the ones that are popping for Kofi.
I mean, Steve Austin could have died out if they didn't capitalize on the momentum.
But Steve Austin was given creative freedom leading up to his big push. Kofi was just thrown in there. That's my biggest problem. So it's all going to WWE creative and the way they present things. That's where I get pissed at. And I know the fans don't see much that they can enjoy. And when they get something like Kofi, they just grasp onto it so hard it annoys me because it just keeps reminding me of we shouldn't feel this way. WWE should be compelling all the time. So it's probably me venting at creative.
Yeah. But you're saying stars. You can't make stars unless you actually give them the chance. If you cut them off before they have a chance to reach the top, then they're not going to go anywhere naturally. That's
why my argument is Kofi was just thrown in the mix. They should have developed this.
But remember what you said yesterday, Birch.
Last summer, they should have started this thread with Kofi, and then it would have came to fruition now. Planning. They could do that. Vince Russo used to plan.
Remember what you said yesterday. You said that when Jinder was a jobber when he came in, he left. He won the WWE title. Now he's a jobber again. You got to think Kofi has always been consistent. Yeah. Like I said yesterday, the best time Kofi had was with his feud against Randy Orton in 2009 when he was that wildcat, all crazy and stuff. The Madison Square Garden spot with him doing the boom drop and him throwing paint on his race car and stuff like that. That's the Kofi Kingston I like. I still like Kofi Kingston, and I see where you're coming to from, Virtue, but it's not like Kofi Kingston hasn't been a jobber. He's been consistent. Yeah, he's won the mid-card title.
He's been in a tag team with Freebird rules for the last 5 years.
No.
And now all of a sudden he's a contender for the top title when Big E looks like the better star, in my opinion, out of that group. I probably would be okay if Big E would have got that push. Because, it is what it is. I don't know. I think people overreact. That's the world of wrestling today. Fans love to overreact. But that's because they're not given much. And when they see something, they grab onto it probably too much. And I'm not like that. Yeah.
And that's why I feel more attached to NXT, more emotional. Because I get something compelling every single week.
They got Shayna Baszler down there. That's why you're so emotional at NXT. So that's all I got. I'm sure I'm going to get lambasted this week. Here come the thumbs down. Here come the negative comments. Good. Bring them.
It's like you said. Good. The New Day
keeps taking off of me.
The New Day has been comedy, but they've always been a force to be reckoned with. Like these guys, they're the longest reigning tag champs. They're 5-time champs. They always do something good in the Rumble. They were in the Money in the Bank matches. It's not like they were under the radar like Jinder was, like Big G said. Jinder just popped up and then won the title. It's different with Kofi and he's a fan favorite that people have loved for.
And the fans saw right through the gender thing. WWE was trying to expand their market in India, so it was pretty obvious what they were doing.
And I see right through the Kofi thing. They're catering into the diehard fans.
If they were going to cater, they would have put the title on them.
Well, it's the fast lane. It's not. We'll see, Aaron. I mean, it could still happen.
It could happen. And my question is, will it have the momentum if they do it at fast lane? I feel like Elimination Chamber was the right time to do it, and I think they should have called it audible. That's why I said that. Maybe fast lane will work, but I don't know.
But the casuals.
What do you think would have happened? What do you think would have happened with Mustafa Ali if he didn't get hurt? We wouldn't be talking about Kofi. But it's literally that's the Kofi took his place. He's not as big as
Mustafa. He's not big as Kofi.
What do you think would have happened with him?
Mustafa Ali doesn't have the history that Kofi has. Fans have a lot of people that are young adults right now grew up on Kofi Kingston, and they've seen him grind for all these years. Jinder Mahal did not grind. Kofi Kingston's been there night after night, every single year for the past decade. And
what do you mean Jinder didn't grind? It was the way he was booked.
Yeah, he was booked poorly, but he doesn't have that history that Kofi has. That establishment that Kofi has. He's been look at Bret Hart. Look at Bret Hart. Bret Hart was in the mid card for a decade before he finally got his main event push. But the fans saw him grind year after year, bust his ass.
Jinder bust his ass and did it year after year. He got thrown into G. I'm not even a Jinder fan, but he's a professional wrestler, and I see fans making fun of him. That's the way they booked him.
With Jinder. They did it
no. The argument is, Big G, because Kofi can wrestle. And today we're about the match.
Well, with all due respect to Jinder, Jinder's not larger than life, first of all. Okay, I'm sure Jinder's a nice person.
Yeah, he is. And he might be on the juice, but he's large. He's huge, dude.
Right, he is. But yeah, I mean, the guy's talented. Don't get me wrong, to a degree. But what did Jinder have that's like anything special? Kofi could go out there and do things. Look at the stuff he did in the Royal Rumble. Not a lot of guys
Again, you're reverting to Marcus stuff. Flips and flies and I can do 100 million fake finishes in the Royal Rumble and then save myself and still get eliminated.
Do people remember it?
Marks remember it.
That's what remember it. That's all that matters. That
man didn't become a billionaire by pushing Kofi Kingston's. I'm sorry. But again, and again, Jinder, that was.
But Vince got to cater to everybody. He just can't count. He just can't cater to larger than life.
He does. You guys have NXT. He allows Triple H to have that for you.
But it's not.
And they're now invading Raw and SmackDown. So Vince does try to give the fans what they want. But the main event always has been his baby. You know what I mean?
Vince just needs to die already. Shit.
Whoa. First of all, he's going to live to be about 110 years old. So there you go.
Oh, shit.
There you go. That's all I got, though. I love that. And again, I don't hate Kofi, and I'm not a fan of Jinder. I just try to give you my point of view. And to me, I would have wanted a longer build-up for Kofi, like Jinder should have had. And that's why I think a lot of fans resented that run. So I always pinpoint it to WWE writing and booking. And I would be invested in Kofi right now if they could have at least slowly started this, maybe even back to the fall. You know what I mean? But
I think the difference is you look at Jinder, and when he won the WWE title, you have to think back and say to yourself, what did Jinder do that was entertaining for a decade? Not much.
BMB, which was the New Day before the New Day.
Tell me a great Jinder Mahal moment. I'll wait.
When he got released.
See, if you won the U.S. title first and then the WWE title, then it could have been a different story.
A bunch of fake false eliminations in the Rumble, and he saved himself only to get eliminated anyway. Yeah, he had some mid-card titles, the little feud with Orton. But, again, they booked him to be a strong mid-card, upper mid-card talent. Jinder, they booked like crap since he came into the company. So there you go. I hate when people pinpoint the talent, right? Anybody can be a star. If they would have put somebody else in CM Punk's spot that could shoot promo, chances are they would have got over as a martyr too, right?
Maybe.
But they put Punk in that spot. No, most I didn't say it.
Some guys have something called presence that not everybody has.
It's not just the casuals.
What presence does Kofi have? Pancakes? Here, pancakes. It's just it's a lot of Benedict Arnold. Everybody keeps reverting back to memorable moments. What did Kofi do? What did Jinder do? And then their argument about Kofi is he can wrestle. He can go and do unique things in the ring, and wrestling sucks today. I mean, it really does. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I like Roman and Charlotte. And again, I've always, Big G, did I not tell you this? I don't know if I told you this or it was somebody else. When I started watching wrestling in the 80s, I was drawn to the heels. I was drawn to Roddy Piper, right? I was drawn to Andres. What difference is it today that I like the wrestlers that nobody else likes? It's just me, like, today, those are the heels to me. The wrestlers that nobody else likes, I like them. It's just like me being 6, 7, 8 years old, liking Piper, Heenan, Andre. I've never changed. So you can hate on me all you want, but that's that's my DNA. Thank you for chatting, everybody. Any last thoughts on this?
Well, that was a very opinionated segment here, for sure.
I want to say that it's not just the marks that like the New Day, because you see the kids getting excited when they hear the music. They're saying the intro with Big E. They even had like a pancake special for the New Year. There's the Book of Booty. There's Bootio cereal. This appeals to the kids too.
I'd argue Big E and Xavier Woods have carried the New Day more than Kofi. Kofi, to me, just seemed like the wrestler of the group, the wrestler, but the entertainment aspect of the New Day to me was always Big E and Xavier Woods. That's just again, not knocking Kofi. He played his role like we that get it. Group needed.
You like when Big E gyrates like that. You get a rise out of that.
And I kind of want to see him. I would be ecstatic if him and Xavier, even this could be predictable now, turned on Kofi. Because that would be great for me and cost him the title. But, we don't get cool stuff. Like, I
wouldn't mind that. I've been saying for the longest time New Day should split up. Yeah, they would get potentially lost in the shuffle, but I'm just tired of it.
You know what, Aaron? Look at this. We spent a 15 or 20-minute segment passionately talking about Kofi Kingston. So whatever happened, it worked, right? I mean, it worked. Well, I've been worked. Even though my opinion's different than all yours, it's still talking about a guy. So there you go, people.
And that's what we want, different opinions, right? We don't want the same opinions.
So. All right. Well, that said, it's time to get the thumbs down in the negative comments. Aaron needs to post this, so let's do our plugs. Big G, I'll start with you.
NoDQ.com/Big G takes you to my Twitter page. NoDQ_Big G on Instagram. Jeff Hilton on Facebook. NoDQ.com/shirts. I'm wearing #FireVirtue. NoDQ.com. Virtue's wearing the NoDQ review. Aaron here is wearing Curb Your Enthusiasm. And TJS is wearing Breaking Bad Los Polos Hermanos. And I will forever be Shayna Baszler's Slave Boy. And that's it for the big.
All right, let's hear from EC3's Slave Boy.
NoDQ.com/TJS takes you to my Facebook page. Chat with me there. Like I said, I'll be going to a house show, and if that intergender match happens, you guys bet your ass I'll have the footage of it, because it could be the only one that happens, and I want to get those views, and I'm going to send it to Aaron so he can put it on NoDQ if it happens. If not, I'll still have some house show photos up. I'll have some videos up, and then Twitter @NoDQ_TJS. You can just follow me there. I do live tweets sometimes, and that's about it, guys.
All right. So, go to NoDQ.com/shirts. Buy a shirt. I know the sale just ended, but go buy a shirt anyways. And
buy a shirt.
Yeah, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding Fastlane, which is coming up pretty soon. I think earlier you said like a month away. It's like 2 weeks away. I mean,
2 weeks away.
2 weeks Sunday, yeah.
2 weeks from Sunday. So, literally 2.5 weeks. Another pay-per-view, but that's the last one before WrestleMania. And then thankfully we'll have a good 4 weeks until WrestleMania. So that's a nice rest, I suppose. That's all I got. Good to be back in Portland, and hope you guys have a great week, whatever's left of the week. Let's hear now from Jinder Mahal, Slave Boy. Go ahead.
First of all, no, but you can say Charlotte Flair, Roman Reigns. I'll let you slide with those ones. All right, so if you live near the Cleveland area and you're going to Fastlane and you want to in person, like maybe in the concourse, we can continue this Kofi Kingston debate since he's going to be on that card, tweet me at NoDQ_virtue. And maybe if I get enough of you saying you're going to be there, I will be there and we will have a good NoDQ party at Fastlane. And we can have a good debate and maybe even get it on camera and Aaron can post it up on the channel. So follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_virtue. You can go to NoDQ.com/virtue as well. That's all I got. TJS, thank you. Big G, thank you. Aaron Riff, thank you. Kofi Kingston, thank you. We'll see you next time.
And the cat says bye.